You caught me. I like to break a mental sweat once in a while, too. Hello. Welcome to the European Power Hour. This is your host, Ryan Fole. Last week we talked about post-Cold War and the effects that it had in Eastern Europe. Tonight we will continue the Cold War theme by talking about European unification. Tonight's installment features interviews with Helmut Kohl and Francois Mitterrand. Then we go to a story about France and Jacques Chirac, and an interview with the Prime Minister of Sweden, Carl Bildt. We close tonight's installment with an interview with Valéry Giscard d'Estaing. First we will bring you to the interview with Kohl and Mitterrand. Jacqueline, are you there?
Hi Ryan, I'm here today with Francois Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl. First off, Chancellor Kohl, can you describe what the Maastricht Treaty does for Germany and the rest of countries who signed the treaty?
This new treaty, signed by Germany, France, and England, as well as many other countries, will unite the countries who signed it. We plan on sharing foreign policy and having similar social laws that keep the unity. Many countries who are part of this treaty are going to have the same economic and monetary system as well. This will be very beneficial for our union members as well, because the economic growth of one country can help out the others. We're also going to help countries such as Greece, Ireland, and Portugal, who are the poorest countries in the Union, by giving them financial support.
Now on to you, Francois. Does being a member of the Socialist Party influence your decision on accepting this treaty of the European Union?
In some sense, I guess it does. Because being a member of the French Socialist Party, I have envisioned a Europe that will be unified in a union where each country gets to join at their will, and gets to help their own styles of government, and gets to keep them. While being protected, of course, by all the other nations in the Union. I mean, it's really fascinating.
Now, Chancellor Kohl, why did you want this treaty to be passed?
I wanted to stop the tensions and the bitter hatred that Europe has seen over the past 80 years, from the First World War all the way to the end of the recent Cold War. All my life, I've either seen my country in war, or the entire continent of Europe in fear of war. I believe that this new union will help hold Europe together and stop the extremists from taking control and starting a new world war. Also, economic advantages that would not only help Germany, but every other country in the treaty is going to be very helpful in keeping the balance of power, so no country has more power than another.
Back to you, Francois. Were there any other reasons why you passed this treaty? I heard there were economic reasons.
Well, you heard right. The problem for me was not any political worries, but more so economic, because of the rising economic power of Chancellor Kohl's Germany and the fear of imminent economic domination. If we did not pass this treaty, we would have definitely seen a dangerous German rise in power.
Oh, interesting. Lastly, for Chancellor Kohl, how much of an impact did the German reunification have with this treaty?
The reunification had a large impact on our involvement in the Maastricht Treaty. Besides the fact that our reunification allowed the entire country of Germany to be a part of the Union, but the unification was a huge influence on the Union. It showed that people with different beliefs can come together and be peaceful with each other.
And lastly for you, Mr. Mitterrand, did the accepting of this Treaty of Maastricht give you and the Socialist and Communist Coalition any power in the National Assembly?
Surprisingly, Jackie, no, it did not. I mean, it's greedy President Chirac, who he scored us that said that the people would want him out of office if they got more demands out of this treaty. So he decided to fill the assembly with more moderates and conservatives so that he could get his overwhelming victory and keep power. I apparently right now hear that people are very frustrated by this, and I hope that they'll do what's right in order for their demands to get met. I really hope they do.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. Now back to you in the studio, Ryan.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Boy, I never noticed before, but that Francois Mitterrand's a pretty handsome guy. Hi, I'm John. I'm the producer of this show. Unfortunately, Ryan's not at the desk right now because he's looking for an interview in the newly unified Germany. Ryan, have you found anybody yet?
Where is she? There she is, I found her!
Oh, it's
Okay,
you again.
so here I am with Miss Marina Erdmann. Can you think back and tell us how you felt the day the Berlin Wall came down?
Oh, that was a wonderful thing. It was just the cage that had kept us for so long was finally open, and we could finally move freely.
Now, it's been several years since the wall actually fell. How has life changed for you since then?
Well, at first, everything seemed all well and good. Our Chancellor, Helmut Kohl, tried to put a lot of investment into the East. That's what I heard, now that they had the access. And yet, I don't think he accomplished much.
What do you mean by that?
So many work institutions and factories shut down, and he failed to reopen the great deal of them. Even though we're unified now, unemployment particularly soared over here in the East. I heard it reached somewhere near 20%, including me.
So for you personally as a woman, what was it like while you were confined to the East?
Although I'm not fond of the days of divided Germany, at least then I was able to work. The strong socialist ethic helped me to work outside the home. I received decent support from cheap childcare, and I even had flexible hours. It was nice in that walled-up place of despair to at least find some purpose and home.
What changed with the new unity?
Well, I lost my ability to work outside of the home. I don't even have a home. This is a shed. All the jobs, as scarce as they were taken over completely by men. It was like I lost a part of me, my job, and I didn't realize it until it was gone. I felt just as lost as I did behind the wall.
Okay, well thank you for your insight.
You
Now back to you.
Help me?
Thanks, Ryan. And now we go live to Matt in Stockholm.
Hi Ryan, I'm here in Stockholm as we await the verdict of Sweden's referendum to admit it into the European Union. Right in this building behind me, the Riksdag, the Swedish Parliament is settling their last terms and continuing the final votes. As you can see, the tension is high as the crowd gathers wait for Swedish Prime Minister Carl Bildt to emerge and tell us the news. I think he's coming out right now.
Yes! Yes! Sweden! Yeah!
Prime Minister Bildt, can we have a quick word?
Oh yeah! Yeah, sure! Man, the happy days are here! Of course, go right ahead.
Clearly you're ecstatic over Sweden joining the European Union.
Most definitely! This has been a priority of Sweden since 1989. We've had our eyes set on joining the EU for years. It would have occurred sooner if only not for our prior neutrality. First we had to get our foot in the door with the European Commission, but we finally made our last step towards unification with the rest of Europe.
Any thoughts on Finland and Austria's present position of joining the EU as well?
I think if we can all pull together to accomplish the admittance of Finland and Austria, bigger and better things are prone to occur. A fierce Nordic bloc will be able to unite and stand together as one, particularly in the case of Denmark. I really look forward to being able to back them up on international issues.
Can you provide with some reasoning for Sweden's admittance into the EU, and possibly Finland and Austria still?
What more is there to say except that the Cold War is over? There's now no more reasoning for my country, nor Austria or Finland, to remain in our consistent policy of neutrality. With tensions weakening between the United States of America and Russia, it seems our time to emerge as capitalist countries have arrived, eager to come together with the rest of the civilized world.
What are some of your predictions for the future of the EU?
Fantastic question! I would hope in future years that Norway and Iceland can see through their differences and join. That way, the opportunities for Arctic trade routes and Baltic unification would be realistic and grand. I also would like to see a European Union comprised of the former communist states one day. They say I'm a dreamer. One including Poland, the Czech Republic, and Hungary. All of these advancements would make a strong European continent and would be a large stepping stone in peace shared by all countries.
Well, that says it all. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your input. Congratulations on the new turn Swedish government.
Thank you!
Back to you, Ryan.
Wow, what a major stepping stone in news broadcasting. Thanks, Matt. Now to Sarah with D'Estaing.
I'm here today with the former French president and present member of the Constitutional Council of France, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing. For those of you who do not know, it was Mr. d'Estaing who was one of the founding fathers of what is now being rejected as the European Constitution. Can you tell us, Mr. d'Estaing, the story behind this new shake-up in the European government?
Oui. In December of 2001, I met with many other European leaders at the Laken European Council in Belgium. We, of course, discussed many topics, but the one which interested me the most was the talk of forming a European convention. Later, once the council was established after the convention, I led it as president.
Collectively, what would you say was the main goal of the European Convention?
Oh, straight away, my convention was met with the challenge of formulating a draft for the refreshed and new constitution for the European Union. We were given 2 years to do so. The draft was meant to be finished by 2004 in order to be given over to the Intergovernmental Conference for finalizing.
And did you finish in time?
We surely did! In 2003, the convention finished our draft for the Constitution.
So what were your main objectives in the drafting?
Well, I would say that the Constitution was meant to replace all European treaties. It also would have given legal force to the Charter of Fundamental Rights, which is what basically preserves the rights of all citizens living in an EU nation, while additionally expanding the voting rights of the EU members. We wanted to promote utmost peace with freedom, security, and justice for all peoples.
So can you give us a play-by-play of what happened once it was done?
The Constitution we devised was presented in 2003 to the European Council meeting. It went on to be rejected later that year by the Intergovernmental Conference. Naturally, we tried again. In June of the next year, 2004, it was agreed upon, and in Rome in October, the official treaty was signed.
One would think that that was the end to the issue, right?
I was unsure during those months. Through the process of drafting, several times the responsibility of revising and amending the document had been handled by other politicians, and I had warned them that any severe changes would cause collateral damage to Europe's fragile foundation. You see, we wanted to simplify Europe's organization and balancing of power, but we had to maintain the roles of monarchs. Not all European countries share uniform government, and many were really skeptical that a single document could unite us all. Britain was against it from the start, as a matter of fact. However, I was proud of it as soon as it was finished. A celebration was in order to acknowledge the fact that centuries' worth of European history was finally coming together in a unification of all states. It was momentous, to say the least.
Yet you hit a roadblock?
A roadblock is merely an understatement. We knew that the Constitution had a long way to go. It had to be voted in by European countries. Spain, in fact, was the first country to hold its voting on the Constitution. And then the biggest blow, which just came about several months ago, was the rejection of the document by France and the Netherlands.
It must be brutal. To dedicate years to a common goal, only to have your people vote against it?
Oh, it most certainly was. It was a mistake, I believed, that my country rejected it, especially given that we, both myself and even President Chirac, anticipated the approval. It could have been corrected or even prevented. I saw the Constitution as the victim throughout the entire scenario.
Why exactly was the Constitution rejected?
In France, it was mostly rejected by communists, socialists, extreme right and left-wing party members, trade unions, and anti-globalization groups. They had strength in numbers. For my own country, I perceive their rejection of the treaty as rejection of our own government. I take it very seriously.
And what about in the case of the Dutch?
I cannot speak for them as much as I can say for my own country, but I know that their Prime Minister is disappointed in his people as well. Most of their voters' reasons for rejection revolved around their fear of Brussels and limited power.
What is next, then, for this Constitution?
We will, of course, keep moving forward. It is about time that Europe undergoes serious change and adopts new systems. Just because we hit a few bumps in the road does not mean we will give up all hope. I assume that a board of European leaders will organize their efforts into once again going back to the drawing board in order to form a new, more agreeable constitution. The days ahead of us shall be full of much reflection for myself and my colleagues as we begin again on this long and most distressing mission of ours.
Well, from the European Power Hour staff, we wish you the best of luck constructing a more successful constitution.
Merci. We need all the luck and well wishes we can receive.
Well, thank you, Mr. D'Estrang, for your time and words. Back to you, Ryan.
Thank you for the interesting report, Sarah. That is all the time we have for tonight, but tune in next week for our installment on Europe and the Middle East. But before we leave, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Tonight's episode of the European Power Hour is brought to you by...
Bonjour! I'm former French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, and I love the taste of my fruity French Unitios.
My name is Helmut Kohl, and I love the taste of German grape Unitios.
Hey, I'm Carl Bildt, the Prime Minister of Sweden, and this is my daily dose of Strawberry Sweden Unitios!
No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking, I just count the hours.
No! That was perfect!
Just imagine, like, look at her and then look.